respect is never given freely. It is earned, cultivated, and commanded. The first step in mastering the psychological art of respect is to truly understand human nature, the unchanging patterns, weaknesses, and desires that drive every interaction. Machiavelli, centuries before our time, observed that people are rarely rational actors. They act on emotion, fear, greed, and self-interest. Those who fail to recognize this are at the mercy of others' whims, forever vulnerable to manipulation, ridicule, or outright dismissal. If you wish to command respect, you must first internalize that respect is not a product of charm or kindness alone. It is a calculated force that signals competence, self-possession, and strategic awareness. The first psychological move is presence. Presence is not merely showing up. It is the energy you emit, the subtle signals your body language conveys, the way your voice asserts authority without needing to dominate. Those who exude presence create an invisible gravitational pull. People defer to presence because it communicates power without words. Machiavelli emphasized that rulers are not respected for their intentions alone, but for the aura they project. This principle translates directly to modern life. Mastering presence requires deliberate control over posture, eye contact, and even silence. Strategic pauses in conversation can make others lean in, waiting to hear your words. Controlled breathing calms the mind and signals unshakable confidence. Even your pace of movement matters. Swift, deliberate gestures signal decisiveness, while hesitation undermines authority. The second move is predictable unpredictability. At first, this sounds like a paradox, but it is a subtle form of psychological dominance. By carefully calibrating which behaviors are consistent and which are deliberately surprising, you create a sense of both reliability and awe. Predictability in values, principles, and non-negotiables builds trust. People respect those who keep their word. Unpredictability in tactics, humor, or problem-solving signals creative intelligence and keeps others cautious. Machiavelli noted that feared rulers are remembered longer than loved ones because they inspire calculation and awareness in everyone they encounter. To cultivate respect, you must balance the expected and the exceptional, the safe and the unpredictable, so others are always alert, never complacent, and inherently deferential. The third psychological move is strategic listening. People crave acknowledgement more than information. When you listen with intent, you make others feel their presence matters, but you also gather intelligence that can be used to guide future interactions. Machiavelli was keenly aware that a ruler who understands the motives and fears of others can manipulate outcomes with precision. In modern terms, mastering this tactic involves active listening, absorbing the underlying emotions behind words, noting hesitations, contradictions, and areas of sensitivity. When you respond, even subtly, to these unspoken cues, you signal awareness and intelligence, earning respect through perceptiveness rather than intimidation. People instinctively admire those who seem to understand more than they reveal themselves. Fourth is controlled vulnerability. True power does not come from perfection. It comes from deliberate disclosure. Machiavelli recognized that showing weakness indiscriminately invites exploitation, yet showing selective vulnerability humanizes you, fosters trust, and positions you as someone who is not only powerful, but aware of human limits. A leader who admits a minor mistake in context demonstrates self-control and humility while maintaining overall authority. In the psychological battlefield, those who wield vulnerability with precision command more respect than those who either hide it completely or expose it recklessly. The key is timing and purpose. Every revelation should strengthen your position, never compromise it. Next is mastering reputation. Respect is built as much in the minds of others as in your direct actions. Machiavelli insisted that perception often outweighs reality. A ruler's reputation is a currency far more valuable than gold. In modern contexts, this means curating both personal and professional impressions. Your actions, words, online presence, and associations all contribute to a composite image that precedes you in every interaction. Strategic consistency, ethical boundaries, and visible competence create a reputation that others instinctively respect. Those who understand this craft their narrative deliberately, ensuring every word and deed reinforces authority, intelligence, and control. Another critical psychological move is assertive boundaries. People respect those who know where the line is drawn. Hesitation or over-accommodation signals weakness, whereas clearly defined limits demonstrate self-possession. Machiavelli observed that rulers who failed to establish boundaries were quickly undermined, while those who enforced limits, even harshly when necessary, maintained stability and awe. In life, setting boundaries involves saying no without guilt, prioritizing your time and energy, and defending personal principles. Boundaries are not about isolation. They are about signaling that your resources, time, and attention are valuable and not available for casual exploitation. Those who violate them do so at their own risk. Composure under pressure is the seventh psychological move. The world is unpredictable, and human reactions are often fueled by panic, anger, or jealousy. Those who maintain composure during chaos instantly differentiate themselves from the masses. Machiavelli noted that a ruler who remained unshaken in crisis inspired loyalty and fear simultaneously. Practically, this requires disciplined mental conditioning, stress management, and emotional detachment. By controlling your internal state, you control external perceptions. Calmness communicates competence. Panic communicates weakness. Respect follows those who are steady, decisive, and impervious to the emotional currents around them. The final foundation for respect in this first number is strategic reciprocity. No one respects those who demand allegiance without giving it in some form. Machiavelli emphasized that favors, when used correctly, are instruments of influence. Provide strategic benefits, insight, or support to key individuals, and they will be more likely to respect, defer to, and protect you. The art is in balance. Generosity should never dilute authority or create dependence that undermines your position. Each act of reciprocity should reinforce your strategic standing, making people see respect as both a reward for their engagement and an acknowledgement of your calculated power. Mastering these initial psychological moves forms the foundation of respect that cannot be taken lightly or cheaply. Presence, controlled unpredictability, strategic listening, selective vulnerability, reputation management, assertive boundaries, composure, and strategic reciprocity combine into an interlocking framework. Those who internalize and implement these principles not only gain respect, but position themselves as formidable forces in every interaction. They operate in the subtle space where fear, admiration, and calculated trust coexist, and therein lies the essence of Machiavellian wisdom. Power is rarely about brute force. It is about the mastery of mind, perception, and the deliberate orchestration of human behavior. The first step in becoming respected is understanding that respect itself is a psychological construct, cultivated through intention, observation, and relentless strategic action. Number 2, the silent command of authority. Authority is rarely granted. It is assumed, reinforced, and silently enforced. Machiavelli taught that the strongest leaders were those who did not rely on empty titles or public approval. They commanded through presence, strategy, and the subtle orchestration of perception. True authority operates in the space between what is seen and what is understood. It is silent yet undeniable. The first key to building this form of authority is controlled intimidation. This is not about terrorizing others recklessly. It is about creating an environment where people instinctively measure their actions in your presence. Intimidation, when executed with precision, signals competence, confidence, and the implicit understanding that crossing you carries consequences. It is a quiet force, an unspoken expectation of respect that reverberates through interactions without a single word needing to be raised. The second psychological strategy is strategic silence. Words have weight, and those who wield them carelessly reveal weakness. Machiavelli observed that rulers who spoke too much often undermined themselves. Silence, in contrast, carries a magnetic authority. When you do not rush to fill space, you force others to reveal themselves. Observing reactions, testing patience, and withholding immediate responses signal both control and superior cognition. Strategic silence also allows you to absorb information, evaluate risks, and plan the optimal response. Others begin to respect your words more because they come from a place of deliberation rather than impulsive emotion. Silence, therefore, is not absence. It is power in its most refined form. Third is calculated presence in decision-making. People respect those who appear decisive and unshakable. Even in situations of uncertainty, maintaining an aura of control commands deference. Machiavelli described leaders who were unwavering in public as figures whose authority extended beyond mere rank. They became symbols of order and stability. In practical terms, this requires preparation, mental rehearsal, and a mastery of information. Every decision, statement, or action should reinforce the perception that you are always a step ahead. Indecision, hesitation, or visible confusion immediately erodes authority, while clarity, even in complex situations, cements it. The fourth tactic is subtle dominance through body language. Authority is communicated more by posture, gesture, and micro-expressions than by speech. Those who master body language create a physical presence that signals control without overt aggression. Machiavelli understood that fear and respect are both transmitted through observation. A firm stance, controlled gestures, and confident eye contact can establish dominance in seconds. Conversely, slouched posture, fidgeting, or avoidance communicates weakness. The silent signals you project constantly reinforce your authority and dictate the flow of interactions. People defer not just because of your decisions, but because your very presence imposes structure and expectation. Fifth is strategic alliances and controlled influence. Authority is rarely absolute in isolation. It is reinforced by networks of influence. Machiavelli stressed the importance of surrounding oneself with capable allies who amplify your power and respect. This does not mean pandering or dependency. It means aligning with individuals whose competence and loyalty reinforce your position. Carefully chosen alliances make your authority appear not just inherent, but inevitable. Others observe that your position is supported by structure, intelligence, and influence, and instinctively adjust their behavior accordingly. Authority, therefore, extends beyond personal skill into the careful orchestration of relationships. Sixth, consider the management of perception. Machiavelli repeatedly emphasized that reality matters less than what others perceive. Authority is magnified when others believe in your competence, foresight, and decisiveness, even if the full truth is unknown to them. In modern terms, reputation management is not deception. It is strategic communication. Every interaction, public statement, and visible decision reinforces the narrative of control. Those who understand this can project power without performing it overtly. Their authority grows silently, like an invisible architecture that shapes the behavior of all who enter their sphere. Seventh is the art of selective confrontation. Respect is reinforced when individuals see that authority is defended when necessary, but not squandered in petty disputes. Machiavelli highlighted that effective rulers chose their battles wisely, conserving energy, demonstrating strategic thinking, and maintaining dominance. Every confrontation should reinforce a clear hierarchy. By confronting threats selectively, you demonstrate not just strength, but intelligence. People respect authority that is decisive, fair, and precise. They fear authority that is impulsive, erratic, or reactive. The key is timing, impact, and the perception that every action serves a greater strategic purpose. Eighth is imposing calm under provocation. Authority is solidified when emotional turbulence does not disrupt your command. Machiavelli observed that rulers who maintained composure while chaos swirled around them earned awe and loyalty. Emotional stability communicates superior control. It signals that you are not governed by impulse but by strategy. Calmness under pressure reassures allies and intimidates adversaries, reinforcing the psychological power of your authority. In moments of crisis, people measure leaders by the steadiness of their mind, not the volume of their voice. Finally, the ninth pillar of silent authority is the calculated display of competence. While humility has its place, people instinctively respect competence demonstrated consistently. Machiavelli recognized that visible skill, whether in administration, strategy, or even subtle social manipulation, cements authority. Competence must be showcased subtly and purposefully, never boastfully. The appearance of mastery combined with restraint communicates that you are capable of more than you reveal, creating a quiet fear and deep respect. People naturally gravitate toward and defer to those who demonstrate mastery without needing constant acknowledgement. In essence, number 2 teaches that authority is silent, subtle, and strategic. It is not the product of noise or superficial dominance. It is the outcome of deliberate control over perception, behavior, and relationships. Through controlled intimidation, strategic silence, decisive action, body language, alliances, perception management, selective confrontation, calm composure, and the understated display of competence, you command respect that others cannot easily challenge. This silent authority does not rely on fear alone, nor on overt displays. It is an invisible architecture that shapes every interaction. By mastering these principles, you move from being observed to being obeyed, from being tolerated to being revered, and from existing in a world of mediocrity to operating at the apex of psychological influence. Those who truly command silently do not need to demand respect. It flows naturally, like a force that is recognized before it is even understood. Number 3. The strategic mastery of influence. Influence is the invisible engine behind power, shaping outcomes long before decisions are made or commands are issued. Machiavelli understood that those who wield influence effectively control not just the present, but the perception of reality itself. Influence is subtle, psychological, and deliberate. It operates in whispers, in gestures, and in the careful orchestration of events. To master influence is to shape the behavior of others without overt coercion, to steer decisions in your favor before anyone realizes they are being guided. The first step in this mastery is the manipulation of desire. Every individual is motivated by longing, whether for status, approval, security, or fear of loss. Those who understand human desires can align their goals with others' intrinsic needs. By positioning yourself as the solution to these desires, you transform influence from a forceful act into an inevitable attraction. People willingly act on behalf of those who seem to fulfill their deepest needs, often without recognizing the subtle direction being applied. Second, the control of information is central to influence. Knowledge is power not because it is inherently valuable, but because it allows for selective revelation. Machiavelli observed that rulers who controlled the flow of information shaped the perceptions of their subjects and rivals. By carefully curating what is revealed, withheld, or emphasized, you dictate the narrative. Transparency is a tool only when it serves your objectives. Indiscriminate sharing weakens authority. Influence grows in the spaces where uncertainty exists and is managed expertly. Others perceive you as competent, strategic, and omniscient, even if they only see the fragments you allow. Third, consider the art of anticipation. Influence is strongest when others act according to your expectations before you explicitly guide them. This requires deep observation, understanding patterns of thought, and predicting reactions. Machiavelli praised leaders who seemed to act preemptively, whose moves always appeared calculated and unavoidable. Anticipation is more than foresight. It is the ability to engineer situations so that your preferred outcome seems natural. When others feel they are making autonomous decisions that align with your interests, you wield influence without confrontation. They are complicit, convinced of their agency, while your control remains absolute. Fourth is strategic reciprocity. People are inherently social creatures, motivated by the principles of give and take. Influence thrives when you offer benefits that others perceive as valuable, creating a psychological debt. Machiavelli noted that the most powerful rulers gave selectively and purposefully. Favor was never indiscriminate. By granting resources, opportunities, or acknowledgement in a controlled fashion, you cultivate loyalty, compliance, and subtle indebtedness. The key is precision. Benefits should align with the recipient's desires, delivered at the right moment, and never perceived as generosity alone. The recipient's obligation becomes a tool you can call upon without overt demands. Fifth, the illusion of autonomy reinforces influence. Individuals are more likely to follow guidance when they feel they are acting independently. Machiavelli emphasized that effective leaders rarely issue direct commands when manipulation could achieve the same result invisibly. By presenting choices that all serve your objectives, you make others feel in control while the outcome remains predetermined. Influence is maximized when decisions seem self-directed, and people internalize their actions as voluntary, even when every option was strategically designed to favor your agenda. Sixth, timing and pacing are critical. Influence is ineffective if applied hastily or too slowly. Machiavelli warned that impatience exposes intentions, while indecision signals weakness. The master of influence understands the optimal moment to act, speak, or reveal information. They allow tension to build, observe reactions, and then strike with precision. Timing ensures that influence is not just applied, but internalized, creating compliance that feels natural. The psychological impact of a well-timed intervention is far greater than brute force or overt pressure. It feels inevitable, reinforcing your control. Seventh, emotional calibration strengthens influence. People are driven more by emotion than rationality. Those who manipulate sentiment control action. Machiavelli recognized that fear, admiration, envy, and desire could all be leveraged strategically. The master manipulator fosters emotions that align others' behavior with their goals. Encouraging admiration creates loyalty, while subtle fear instills caution and compliance. Influence is the deliberate orchestration of emotion, ensuring that choices are made in alignment with your objectives, without overt compulsion. Emotional calibration requires observation, subtlety, and the ability to adjust strategies in real time to maintain desired outcomes. Eighth is reputation as leverage. Influence is amplified when others perceive you as formidable, intelligent, or indispensable. Machiavelli repeatedly emphasized that perception often outweighs reality. By cultivating a reputation that precedes you, your suggestions, advice, or recommendations carry weight before they are even spoken. Others defer to your judgment not because they are compelled, but because your perceived authority has primed them to respect and follow your lead. Reputation is a form of passive influence, silent yet powerful, shaping decisions through anticipation and expectation rather than coercion. Finally, the ninth principle is the strategic balance of fear and respect. Influence is most enduring when others simultaneously admire and fear your capability. Machiavelli observed that excessive benevolence eroded authority, while unchecked cruelty bred rebellion. The ideal manipulator maintains this balance, fostering respect for intelligence, decisiveness, and skill while ensuring that crossing boundaries carries consequences. This combination creates a psychological environment where your guidance is followed, your power is recognized, and compliance becomes instinctive. The individual understands, consciously or unconsciously, that influence emanates not from threat alone, but from a consistent and observable pattern of competence and strategic foresight. In sum, number 3 illuminates the architecture of influence, how subtle psychology, timing, perception, and strategic engagement coalesce into a force that shapes decisions and behavior without overt coercion. Mastery of influence requires aligning desires, controlling information, anticipating actions, fostering reciprocal obligations, creating autonomy illusions, calibrating emotion, managing reputation, and balancing fear with respect. Machiavelli's lessons reveal that the truly powerful do not dominate through noise or force alone. They orchestrate outcomes invisibly, guiding the world around them with precision, foresight, and psychological mastery. To wield influence is to make others act in accordance with your vision while leaving them convinced of their own agency. Those who understand this can move unseen, control the seemingly uncontrollable, and transform subtle guidance into undeniable authority. Number 4. The ruthless control of your inner game. True power does not begin with external domination. It begins in the mind. Machiavelli understood that the battles worth winning are often invisible, fought silently within the recesses of thought, emotion, and desire. To be truly untouchable, you must master your inner game, the silent, relentless control of your impulses, fears, and weaknesses. Those who fail here are vulnerable, regardless of their external advantages. The first step is radical self-awareness. Without understanding your motivations, triggers, and patterns, you leave your mind vulnerable to manipulation by others. A ruler who cannot govern his own thoughts cannot command respect, for inconsistency is immediately perceptible and exploitable. By meticulously observing your mental patterns, recording weaknesses, and identifying emotional triggers, you gain the ability to anticipate and counteract internal sabotage before it manifests externally. Second, emotional discipline is essential. The untrained mind reacts instinctively, often betraying weakness through anger, impatience, or insecurity. Machiavelli warned that an unchecked temper or uncontrolled reaction is a vulnerability that rivals will exploit. Emotional discipline does not mean suppression. It requires the deliberate channeling of emotion into strategic action. Anger becomes a calculated tool, fear a motivator, and desire a resource to be deployed rather than indulged. The ability to remain calm, detached, and composed under pressure signals strength, disarms opponents, and consolidates authority without the need for overt confrontation. Third is the mastery of focus. Distraction is the silent enemy of power. Individuals who scatter their attention across trivialities or unaligned pursuits waste energy and dilute their influence. Machiavelli emphasized the necessity of strategic prioritization. Identify what truly matters, your long-term objectives, and ruthlessly eliminate distractions. Focus is not mere concentration. It is the unyielding alignment of thought, action, and intention with your desired outcome. Every decision, interaction, and effort must serve the architecture of your ultimate goals. The disciplined mind treats time as a weapon, not a luxury, ensuring that every action compounds advantage rather than dissipates it. Fourth, the cultivation of patience strengthens your inner control. Impulse-driven decisions are the hallmark of the weak. Machiavelli observed that the most feared leaders do not act hastily. They wait, observe, and strike with calculated precision. Patience is not passive. It is an active strategy, a deliberate positioning that allows others' mistakes and missteps to unfold naturally. By mastering patience, you create a temporal advantage, a space where opportunity aligns with readiness. The impatient act impulsively, the patient act invincibly, controlling outcomes that seem spontaneous to others while remaining entirely within your orchestration. Fifth, mental resilience forms the foundation of invulnerability. Challenges, setbacks, and betrayal are inevitable. The weak crumble under pressure, while the resilient endure, adapt, and exploit adversity. Machiavelli praised those who transformed obstacles into strategic advantage. Resilience is cultivated through deliberate exposure to discomfort, reflection on failure, and the constant refinement of strategy. The mind becomes a fortress, resistant to psychological manipulation, immune to intimidation, and capable of rapid recovery. This inner fortitude ensures that external attacks are neutralized before they can disturb equilibrium, and decisions remain rational even under stress. Sixth is the control of desire and ambition. Every individual is driven by wants, power, wealth, recognition, or approval. Left unchecked, desire becomes distraction, leading to impulsive behavior and vulnerability. The Machiavellian approach is not denial but mastery. Identify what you truly need versus what is superfluous, and align ambition with strategic utility rather than indulgent craving. Desire becomes a tool, fueling action and focus rather than undermining judgment. A mind governed by disciplined ambition achieves without compromise and resists manipulation rooted in temptation. Seventh, the suppression of fear is critical. Fear, left unexamined, is the invisible chain that restricts action. Machiavelli recognized that those who yield to fear become predictable, reactive, and easily dominated. The ruthless mind acknowledges fear, analyzes it, and converts it into calculated caution rather than paralysis. Controlled fear informs strategy, allowing you to anticipate threats and avoid unnecessary risk while maintaining the appearance of boldness and decisiveness. Fear is not eradicated. It is harnessed and directed to serve power rather than undermine it. Eighth, self-reliance and mental independence ensure freedom from manipulation. External validation, reliance on approval, or dependence on allies creates vulnerabilities. The mind that relies too heavily on others is susceptible to coercion, persuasion, and deceit. Machiavelli argued that true autonomy begins within. Develop the ability to make decisions and act decisively without awaiting consensus. By cultivating self-trust, your mental game remains impervious to external pressure, and your actions become unpredictable to rivals who hope to manipulate through expectation or consensus. Ninth, strategic introspection strengthens decision-making. Machiavelli emphasized reflection as a tool of foresight. Continually assess past actions, analyze successes and failures, and anticipate future challenges. Introspection is not indulgence in self-criticism, but a disciplined audit of strategy and outcome. The mind that rigorously evaluates itself becomes a precision instrument, reducing error, predicting outcomes, and maintaining control in dynamic environments. Internal clarity translates into external dominance, as each move is informed, intentional, and uncompromised by unconscious bias. Finally, integration of the inner and outer game is essential. Mastery of your internal state amplifies your external influence. The disciplined mind projects authority, decisiveness, and composure, while internally orchestrating thought, emotion, and strategy with precision. Machiavelli understood that visible power without internal control is brittle, and internal mastery without external application is wasted. By uniting the inner and outer game, you become not just resilient but unstoppable. Your actions synchronized with intention, your presence commanding, and your influence irresistible. Number 4 illuminates that invincibility begins within. By exercising ruthless control over thought, emotion, focus, patience, resilience, desire, fear, autonomy, introspection, and integration, You cultivate a mind that is impervious, decisive, and strategic. External power is transient. Internal mastery endures. The Machiavellian path to mental dominance is not through brute force, but through the meticulous, relentless control of the self, ensuring that every action, reaction, and decision aligns with purpose, vision, and unassailable authority. Number 5. The art of psychological strategy. True dominance is never achieved through sheer force alone. It is crafted with precision in the shadows of the mind. Machiavelli taught that power, when wielded without understanding human psychology, is brittle, easily challenged, and ultimately fleeting. To command influence over others, you must first understand them, not just superficially, but with ruthless clarity. The art of psychological strategy is the ability to anticipate, manipulate, and guide others' thoughts and actions without revealing your own hand. It begins with the careful observation of behavior. Every glance, hesitation, or subtle inflection conveys intention and weakness. By attentively studying patterns, you gain insight into what drives people, their fears, desires, insecurities, and ambitions. Knowledge of these elements allows you to exploit vulnerabilities, foster dependence, and subtly shape decisions to your advantage. Second, strategic ambiguity is your ally. People often overinterpret what they cannot fully understand, and ambiguity creates opportunities to influence without direct confrontation. A Machiavellian strategist communicates selectively, revealing only what serves a purpose while concealing true intentions. By creating uncertainty, you compel others to act within the framework you subtly control. The mind naturally seeks clarity. By withholding it, you generate compliance, hesitation, and self-discovery that works in your favor. Ambiguity is not deception for its own sake. It is a calculated shield and a silent lever of influence. Third, the manipulation of perception determines reality. Machiavelli observed that appearances often hold more sway than truth, for humans judge primarily by what they see, not what they know. Your reputation, gestures, and demeanor shape expectations and reactions. By mastering perception, you control how others interpret your power, intent, and capability. Confidence, consistency, and controlled visibility amplify influence, making your presence commanding even without overt action. The perception of strength can deter opposition, attract allies, and maintain dominance without ever needing to assert it physically. Fourth, anticipating reactions ensures strategic superiority. Every action triggers a response, and predictable behavior can be exploited. A strategist considers multiple potential reactions before taking any step, preemptively shaping the environment to align with desired outcomes. Machiavelli emphasized foresight, the ability to foresee consequences, human error, and emotional response, and leverage them as instruments of control. Anticipation is more than prediction. It is the deliberate orchestration of conditions, nudging others into decisions that serve your long-term objectives. Fifth, leveraging fear and respect creates psychological leverage. Fear is a tool when properly calibrated. Respect solidifies influence. Machiavelli's principle is clear. It is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. However, fear without respect is tyranny and collapse. True psychological mastery balances both, demonstrating strength and decisiveness to command obedience, while maintaining consistency and strategic fairness to sustain loyalty. Fear becomes a silent motivator, respect a binding agent, and together they cultivate a landscape where your authority is both unquestioned and internalized by others. Sixth, the strategic use of reward and scarcity motivates action. Human behavior is driven by incentives, and the Machiavellian mind exploits this reality. Rewards are not gestures of kindness, but instruments of influence, allocated judiciously to reinforce loyalty, shape behavior, and establish hierarchy. Scarcity, whether of resources, information, or opportunity, increases perceived value and prompts action aligned with your designs. By combining reward and scarcity, you craft environments where others act predictably, while feeling autonomous in their choices, reinforcing your control without overt force. Seventh, managing alliances is essential for psychological strategy. Allies can be invaluable instruments or potential threats. A strategic mind evaluates motivations, strengths, and weaknesses, forging alliances that serve mutual benefit while maintaining ultimate autonomy. Machiavelli emphasized the careful calibration of dependency, ensuring that allies rely on you more than you rely on them. Psychological influence over allies is achieved subtly, through encouragement, guidance, and controlled expectation, making them partners in your strategy while remaining instruments of your design. Eighth, disruption of opponent confidence weakens resistance. Subtle challenges, controlled unpredictability, and carefully placed doubt destabilize rivals, forcing hesitation and poor decision-making. Machiavellian strategy leverages the psychology of uncertainty, exploiting overconfidence and fear alike. By creating a climate where opponents question themselves, you gain the advantage before direct engagement occurs. Psychological pressure, even without confrontation, shifts the balance of power decisively in your favor. Ninth, the exploitation of social dynamics amplifies influence. Humans are inherently social, influenced by perception, reputation, and group behavior. A strategist recognizes the power of positioning, hierarchy, and perception in shaping collective action. By controlling the narrative, emphasizing selective strengths, and subtly guiding consensus, you manipulate group behavior to your advantage. Individuals act not solely on logic, but on perceived authority and social alignment. By mastering this, your influence multiplies exponentially, extending beyond direct interaction. 10th, the integration of patience with timing is crucial. Psychological strategy is useless if executed prematurely or haphazardly. Timing determines impact, maximizes leverage, and ensures that moves are irreversible and advantageous. Machiavelli understood that the right intervention at the wrong moment can squander advantage. Conversely, well-timed action converts subtle influence into tangible control. Every gesture, conversation, or decision must be measured, positioned, and deployed with the precision of a chess master, aligning perception, opportunity, and psychology into a seamless operation of dominance. Finally, continuous adaptation secures enduring psychological advantage. The human mind is dynamic. Rigid strategies become obsolete. Machiavelli emphasized the importance of learning, observation, and adjustment. By continuously analyzing outcomes, recalibrating tactics, and observing behavioral shifts, a strategist remains ahead of rivals. Adaptation is not reactive, it is anticipatory, ensuring that psychological control evolves in step with changing circumstances, preserving influence, and maintaining dominance over both allies and adversaries. Number 5 establishes that power is less about force and more about mastery of human behavior. Through observation, ambiguity, perception management, anticipation, calibrated fear, reward and scarcity, alliance control, disruption, social manipulation, timing, and adaptation, you sculpt reality to your advantage. Machiavelli's psychological strategy is the silent hand that moves others while revealing nothing, allowing you to command influence, respect, and compliance without ever needing overt confrontation. Master these techniques, and your authority becomes invisible yet absolute. A landscape where others act in accordance with your will, believing themselves autonomous while you remain the orchestrator of every outcome. Number 6, the mastery of influence and legacy. True power is measured not only by what you achieve in the present, but by the lasting impression you leave on those who witness your ascent. Machiavelli understood that influence extends beyond immediate control. It is the architecture of legacy, the careful construction of authority that endures long after the moment has passed. To master influence is to embed yourself into the perceptions, decisions, and behaviors of others in such a way that your presence is felt even in your absence. It begins with the cultivation of reputation. Reputation is a strategic asset, forged deliberately, defended fiercely, and leveraged consistently. Every action, word, and decision contributes to an overarching narrative, a story that others will recount in your absence. A reputation for wisdom, decisiveness, and strategic acumen compels respect, fear, and loyalty simultaneously. Machiavelli recognized that men often act in accordance with what they believe about you, rather than what they know, and perception can be manipulated more reliably than reality. Next, the orchestration of symbolic acts amplifies influence. Symbolism conveys power beyond immediate utility. It shapes the subconscious interpretation of your authority. From carefully calculated gestures to public displays of decisiveness or benevolence, each action must serve a dual purpose: practical execution and psychological reinforcement. Strategic symbolism anchors your presence in the minds of others, ensuring that your authority resonates emotionally, not just intellectually. Machiavelli's leaders understood that the memory of their deeds often influenced behavior far more effectively than the deeds themselves. Third, mentorship and selective empowerment extend your influence. A leader who elevates others strategically strengthens loyalty, creates dependence, and ensures the continuation of his vision. Machiavelli advised cultivating those who can advance your agenda, while simultaneously recognizing that excessive empowerment without oversight risks rebellion. By guiding others subtly, you embed your influence into their decisions and actions, creating a network of loyalty that perpetuates your authority. This is not generosity for its own sake. It is strategic distribution of power to maintain dominance indirectly. Fourth, the management of information is central to legacy building. Knowledge is power, but influence thrives on controlled dissemination of knowledge. By determining what others know, when they know it, and how they interpret it, you control narratives, shape perceptions, and direct behavior. Machiavelli emphasized that misinformation or selective revelation can be more effective than brute force, as it forces others to act within frameworks you design, often unaware of the constraints you've imposed. A leader who masters the flow of information shapes not just actions, but beliefs, embedding himself into the collective psyche. Fifth, strategic alliances for enduring influence ensure that your legacy is insulated from transient chaos. Allies, when carefully chosen, amplify reach, reinforce credibility, and secure continuity. Machiavelli taught that loyalty is best built on mutual benefit and perception of indispensability. Those who perceive you as essential to their success will act in ways that preserve and extend your influence, often long after your direct intervention ceases. A Machiavellian strategist aligns the ambitions of others with his own, ensuring that influence spreads organically through interdependent networks rather than relying on coercion alone. Sixth, the deliberate cultivation of scarcity and exclusivity elevates your perceived value. Humans assign higher value to what is rare, controlled, or difficult to obtain. By creating scarcity, whether in access, opportunity, or knowledge, you engineer desire, dependence, and strategic compliance. Machiavelli recognized that influence is magnified when others perceive your presence, guidance, or favor as exceptional. Scarcity forces individuals to compete for proximity, alignment, and approval, embedding your authority deeply into social structures and individual priorities. Seventh, the integration of strategic patience and timing solidifies influence. Machiavelli stressed that impatience undermines control. Legacy is crafted through carefully timed interventions, sequenced decisions, and deliberate pauses that maximize impact. Acting too soon can waste leverage. Acting too late may cede control. By mastering timing, you ensure that each decision resonates with maximum effect, shaping both immediate outcomes and long-term perception. Influence, when patient and precise, becomes durable, self-reinforcing, and difficult to challenge. Eighth, the psychological framing of your achievements magnifies your legacy. People remember not the full complexity of actions, but the narrative constructed around them. By framing accomplishments strategically, emphasizing ingenuity, decisiveness, or courage, you ensure that memory aligns with perception. Machiavelli observed that public interpretation often matters more than private reality. The way deeds are perceived by contemporaries shapes authority for generations. Control of narrative, therefore, is control of enduring influence. Ninth, the subtle management of successors and continuity protects legacy. True Machiavellian mastery extends influence beyond one's lifespan by preparing successors, shaping institutional norms, and embedding strategic principles into structures. Those who follow your guidance act as vessels through which your influence persists. However, selection must be precise. Successors should admire and emulate without surpassing prematurely, preserving hierarchy, respect, and continuity. The careful orchestration of succession ensures that your authority echoes through time rather than fading with your direct presence. 10th, the balancing of fear and respect in perpetuity cements long-term influence. While fear motivates compliance, respect ensures enduring loyalty and admiration. Machiavelli advised that fear without respect invites rebellion. Respect without power invites disregard. Mastery of influence demands the careful calibration of both, creating a presence that commands immediate attention and persists psychologically over time. A legacy built on this balance ensures that individuals internalize your authority, perpetuating obedience and alignment naturally. 11th, continuous observation and adaptation preserves influence. Even legacy is not static. Social dynamics, human behavior, and environmental conditions evolve. Machiavelli emphasized vigilance, the strategic monitoring of shifts, vulnerabilities, and opportunities to ensure that influence adapts and persists. A Machiavellian leader integrates new intelligence, adjusts tactics, and realigns networks proactively, converting potential disruption into reinforcement of authority. Adaptation guarantees that influence endures despite changing circumstances, securing the longevity of your psychological and social impact. 12th, embedding principles into culture and structure immortalizes authority. Influence extends beyond individuals when codified into norms, expectations, and shared behaviors. Machiavelli understood that institutions and culture can perpetuate strategy beyond personal action. By embedding rules, rituals, and practices that reflect your strategic philosophy, you create an environment where behavior aligns with your vision automatically. Influence becomes self-reinforcing, embedded into the very fabric of the system, extending your reach indefinitely. Number 6 demonstrates that the mastery of influence and legacy is the pinnacle of Machiavellian strategy. It is not enough to dominate the present. True power reverberates through memory, structure, and perception. By cultivating reputation, symbolism, mentorship, controlled knowledge, strategic alliances, scarcity, timing, narrative, succession planning, balanced fear and respect, continuous adaptation, and cultural embedding, you ensure that authority is durable, pervasive, and self-sustaining. Influence becomes invisible yet absolute, a silent hand that guides decisions, shapes perception, and cements a legacy of power long after direct intervention has ceased. Machiavelli's ultimate lesson is clear. To be truly unstoppable, one must not only master people, but also master the echo of one's presence through time itself.